You know what makes a man truly dangerous? It's not the gun in his hand, the bullets in his pocket, or the number of lives he's taken. It's the silence before he moves, the calm in the eye of a storm, the way he walks into a room and suddenly everyone feels the weight of his presence. It's that tension in the air, the kind you can't explain, but you can feel in your bones. In the universe of Breaking Bad, no one embodies that quiet, unstoppable force more than Mike Ehrmantraut. Mike isn't flashy. He doesn't shout. He doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. Yet every time he steps into a situation, you feel it immediately. The cold, meticulous precision of a man who has lived long enough to see the world for what it is and has adapted to survive in it. He carries himself with the posture of someone who has spent years in dangerous rooms, around dangerous people, making dangerous decisions. Where Walter panics, Jesse falters, and others lose control, Mike remains a pillar of composure, a calm center in the chaos. That calm terrifies people the most because it comes from someone who doesn't act recklessly. Every move he makes is calculated. Every word he speaks is deliberate. Every decision is informed by experience, intelligence, and the unshakable understanding that consequences are real and permanent. But what makes Mike truly badass isn't just his efficiency, it's his philosophy, his discipline, and his code. He doesn't kill out of ego. He doesn't manipulate for fun. He does what must be done, and he does it flawlessly. He is the ultimate professional, the embodiment of controlled power. Whether it's surveying an enemy for hours without moving, planning a high-stakes extraction in silence, or eliminating a threat with swift precision, Mike operates with a level of focus that feels almost superhuman. And the scariest part? He makes it look effortless. Like breathing. Like something he was born to do. He moves with the quiet confidence of a man who has already accepted what his life is and what it costs. Yet beneath that cold efficiency lies a man of depth, shaped by loss, regret, and loyalty. Mike's story isn't just about crime. It's about living with consequences. It's about a man who loves his granddaughter enough to bend the world around her safety and grieves for his son enough to carry that pain silently every day. He doesn't talk about it. He doesn't ask for sympathy. But every time he looks at Kaylee, every time he sits quietly by her side, you can feel the entire weight of a broken past resting on his shoulders. This human side makes him relatable, makes you empathize with him, and somehow makes his acts of violence even more shocking, because they are never about anger or vengeance, but about necessity, protection, and keeping promises. Think about his interactions with Jesse. Most characters in Breaking Bad treat Jesse like a fool, a liability, or a pawn. But Mike sees the kid for who he is. He mentors him with patience. He teaches him discipline. He gives him real guidance when nobody else does. And when he sees Jesse breaking under pressure, Mike doesn't belittle him. He steadies him. He protects him when Walter fails to do so. Mike doesn't treat Jesse like a soldier. He treats him like someone worth saving. And he does it not out of kindness alone, but out of understanding, strategy, and sometimes morality. Mike's humanity doesn't make him weak, it makes him more dangerous. He's calculating enough to anticipate every move, but wise enough to know when mercy is more powerful than violence. And let's talk about his intelligence. Mike sees the world differently. Every situation is a chessboard, every person a piece with strengths, weaknesses, and tendencies. He notices details no one else sees. Shadows on a wall, reflections in glass, small inconsistencies in stories, the way someone shifts their weight when they're nervous. He anticipates moves before anyone else can. He adapts to chaos with unmatched grace. One simple warning from Mike, just a few quiet words, is more effective than hours of negotiation from anyone else. When he speaks, people listen, not necessarily because they fear him, but because they know he knows things they don't, and acting against him is a mistake they cannot afford. Mike is also the master of timing. In a world where impatience is fatal, Mike waits. He studies rooms. He studies people. He watches patterns and behavior like a seasoned hunter. He moves only when necessary, striking with precision and ensuring success. Every action is deliberate. Every decision is informed by a lifetime of experience. He doesn't rush, he doesn't panic, he doesn't gamble. And that is what makes him terrifying. In a world full of chaos, Mike is certainty incarnate. While others crumble under pressure, Mike becomes sharper. His mind gets quieter, his instincts take over. Then there's his moral code, flawed, yet consistent. Mike isn't a hero, but he's not a villain either. He operates in shades of gray, but there's a line he won't cross, a line defined by loyalty, family, and a personal sense of justice. He'll protect those he cares about, punish those who betray him, and do whatever it takes to survive without losing his identity. This balance between deadly professionalism and quiet humanity is what makes him so compelling. It's why we fear him, respect him, and at the same time can't help but admire him. He is a man who knows what he is, accepts it, and still tries to preserve the last remaining pieces of good in his life. Consider some defining moments: calmly taking out threats without hesitation, planning escapes that seem impossible, silently teaching Jesse lessons Walter could never teach. The way he single-handedly handles cartel situations, outsmarts hired assassins, and keeps entire operations from collapsing under pressure. In every moment, Mike demonstrates intelligence, control, and moral clarity. He doesn't just survive in the criminal world, he dominates it with a quiet, terrifying mastery. His physical presence is subtle, but effective. He doesn't rely on brute force. He relies on skill, patience, timing, and a deep understanding of human behavior. He knows when to speak, when to wait, when to act. And when he finally moves, it's always decisive. No hesitation, no error. That is the mark of a true badass. Mike proves that the most intimidating people aren't the loudest, they're the ones who don't need noise. And the most fascinating thing? Mike's badassery is inseparable from his humanity. He loves, he grieves, he keeps promises, and he respects loyalty. The contrast between his lethal efficiency and his quiet personal ethics makes him unforgettable. He is a grandfather, a mentor, a protector, and a professional killer, all at once. That duality is rare, and it's why he resonates with the audience more than almost any other character in Breaking Bad. He represents the quiet tragedy of a good man who got stuck in a bad world and adapted to it better than anyone else. Even in his final moments, Mike Ehrmantraut remained the epitome of a badass. Sitting there, calm and composed, knowing the end was near, he didn't beg, didn't plead, didn't try to negotiate a way out. He faced the inevitable with the same quiet dignity he had carried throughout his life. His death wasn't dramatic in the Hollywood sense, it was simple, understated, almost serene. But that's exactly what made it terrifying, what made it powerful. Mike died on his own terms, in control until the very last second. No theatrics, no panic, no chaos, just the silent, unwavering force of a man who had mastered life and death alike. Even as Walter White confronted him, even as danger surrounded him, Mike's final acts were calm, precise, and intentional. He accounted for every detail, protected those he cared for as much as he could, and accepted the consequences of the life he had led. That moment encapsulates everything that made him the most badass character in Breaking Bad. Not the kills, not the threats, not even the criminal genius, but the discipline, the control, the humanity, and the unwavering professionalism right up until his last breath. You can almost feel that, in those final seconds, Mike wasn't afraid, he wasn't angry, he was simply done. And in that acceptance, he remained powerful. Mike Ehrmantraut teaches us that true badassery isn't about chaos or violence, it's about mastery. Mastery over your mind, your actions, your fears, and even your death. And in that, he stands alone, forever unforgettable, the quiet, unstoppable force that defined what it truly means to be a badass in the Breaking Bad universe.